Hey, welcome to the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. This is the bit where I fill in for a minute or two whilst all the notifications come through, because of all the delays on Facebook and delays on LinkedIn. But essentially, here we are for another Green Umbrella Live Lunch. It's Thursday, 12 noon. We've been doing this every week for 101 weeks now. And we're live on my LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, and we're also live on the Green Umbrella Facebook page. And as always, we are just going to just hang out for a little while and just have a catch up as to what's going on in the world of social media and what's going on in the world of Green Umbrella marketing. And I mean, it's been a bit of a weird week. I think we started a bit low energy. And then all of a sudden we've had these nice couple of days and it's just put a bit of a spring in our step, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, being the first week of spring and all, with the sun out, I feel it's got to make you a bit positive, isn't it?
Absolutely. So it's just the three of us today. Mark's caught up doing some design work and he's got a nice juicy project to get his teeth into, so he's off doing that. So we can literally talk about whatever we want to talk about today. It's going to be great. So Nicole, give us is there anything stand out for you over the last week in terms of sort of social media, whether it's part of what you've been working on or any content ideas that popped up that might be useful for people to sort of think about, or anything news wise?
Oh, well, it's just been, I guess, a normal week for me, doing all my clients' stuff and posting on their socials each and every day. But I did have a bit of a brainstorm yesterday on sort of stuff that I can get for them. And I'm thinking that I need to get a bit more video content on their platforms. So I'm going to try and get my clients to do some sort of stuff around their businesses and meet the teams, some meet the team videos. So I think that'll be good fun to sort of make up and get out there. So that'll be a bit sort of new for me to start probably next week. I'm going to sort of, chase them up tomorrow for that. And then, hopefully get some more fresh content out there. But apart from that, normal week for me, really. As you said, I feel like we've got we're picking up the positivity at the end of the week, and I feel the sunshine and sort of spring coming into the year is making that great. So I feel, and then in terms of news,
well, before you get on to that,
I'm jumping ahead.
I'm going to stop you because you mentioned something there that I think is quite it's worth us talking about a little bit more. So you talked about the meet the team thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think quite often when people are thinking about their content, they'll have an idea. So they're we'll do meet the team, and it's however they're going to do it, whether it's just a post or just a photo of each team member and a little fact about them, or whether it's a video, whatever. People they do it and they go through the whole team, and then they kind of think well, we've done meet the team now. And it's that's an idea that then just gets put away. And actually what's happened is whilst they're doing meet the team, they've probably had a load of interaction and engagement. And there's a lot of things that come up in marketing where you do something, you do a particular campaign. So it's a meet the team campaign. You've done it, you come to the end of that and you sort of put it away. And actually it's something that's worked. So why not bring it back and do it again? We don't always need to tell the world we're doing a meet the team campaign and meet the team and here's Jane, she's the organized one, and here meet the team, here's Nicole, she's the podcast person, right? It's we don't have to use that hashtag meet the team. We don't need to say it's meet the team. It could just be it's Thursday and here's a photo of Ellie with one of her random facts because that's what she's known for in the business. And so it's we can actually, this meet the team thing, it shouldn't ever really stop. It should be something we keep cycling through. And every now and then we might take a break from it and reintroduce it again. But it's stuff I say it's just finding those content opportunities.
I completely agree. because I feel like there's a number of ways you can do it, whether that's through a video. Like I saw one company on LinkedIn recently do a Meet the Team TikTok, and it was brilliant. Jane, I think I showed you, or I was doing impressions of it in the office, where I was like, they were all sort of doing walking in slow-mo to the camera, do a pose, their job role will come up, and then at the end they're all just sort of dancing and introducing their company, and it was brilliant. But then you have sort of the picture ones where you can just do a random fact of the team. And there's lots of ways you can do it, so I completely agree.
Absolutely. Cool. And then, so I'd interrupted you. You were going to talk about some news stuff that you'd seen.
Yeah, so I've got an interesting one about YouTube this week. So YouTube are going to let thousands of users watch TV shows for free, which they've obviously had on their service for a while, but you would have to actually pay for the TV shows. I don't know if you've ever seen, but it's always sort of on the right-hand side of the screen where they sort of have an option for you to pay for a film or a TV show to watch. But now they're going to be doing it for free, with obviously the cost of ads being in the stream throughout, the TV show. So I thought that was an interesting one, actually, because I guess it's sort of the end of, is this going to be the end of traditional TV? Because everyone's sort of taking over now in terms of running these streams or a streaming platform.
So I think video has changed a lot anyway. Like, TV, if you like our habits, the way we consume content in that way has changed massively. So there is a big opportunity for streaming services to really monetize beyond subscriptions. So, and I do see that coming over to social. And actually, it's kind of here already. I think I mentioned it last week. There's someone that I know who there's like one particular that they did one live video, and they tend to do a live every morning. And so anyone that knows me well, it's the fact that I've said that, it's not who you think it might be. I've just realized what I've just said really points to someone in particular, and it's not them. So that's awkward. But yeah, so this person, they don't do a scheduled every morning live. They just rock up each morning, might be slightly different time, and they do a live, and it's generally something news related. There's one particular video, because when you do a live, at the point you finish it, it's then just like a video post. So I can never say it, the interstitial ads, the ads that interrupt your viewing pleasures. That's monetized. They've earned money off that. So just that one live, they earned like over $3,000 from, because they've got a huge audience. So actually, there's a lot of opportunity here for the likes of YouTube. I mean, if you watch stuff on Amazon now, have you noticed you get, like on Amazon Prime, you essentially get ads. You like be partway through a show, but it doesn't happen at the end of a scene. It just happens at a certain point. So it goes to these ads, which tend to be Amazon ads at the minute. So there's a lot of ads for Amazon podcasts at the moment, which I find particularly interesting. But that's where they're where and how they're marketing those. But you see the ads and you go straight back into the show. So if it cut in like 5 seconds before that scene ends, you go back in 5 seconds before that scene ends. It's really odd. But that's a side note. But yeah, like I said, I think there's a lot of, all of the social media platforms have, over the last 12, 18 months, gone down this road of like, how do we reward content creators at the same time? So we want to give them this pool of money, but where's the money going to come from? Well, actually, if we can get advertisers paying to be in that space, in that video, and we're essentially splitting it, we keep some, the creator gets some. So I think we are going to see more of that from the social media channels. I think there's going to be a lot of, I mean, it's already happened with like sporting events. It's shame Mark's not here because I really don't know what I'm talking about now. But, some of the sporting events that have been live streamed, not in the usual places.
Yeah.
Because of like all the deals and sponsorship and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's quite interesting the way that's all sort of, it's been that way a while, but we're just seeing more and more and more of it at the minute.
Yeah. I think it's something that we're just going to have to get used to, even though it can be annoying in places. You know, as you said, 5 seconds before an end of a scene, it's like you're in an ad and you've probably forgotten what's even happened in that scene before you get to the end of it. And you're just sort of like, I feel like you get lost in ads sometimes. I don't know about you. When I'm on a podcast, they do it on podcasts as well, where they'll cut in the middle of a sentence. And I'll think, oh, okay. And then they're talking about, I think it was some really quite odd advert about Maltesers last night that I was listening to, and I was just thinking, I'm really into this Maltesers advert, and I completely forgot what they're actually talking about in the podcast. I had to go back, but then I actually forgot that you can skip forwards. So I'm on Spotify really into this Maltesers advert, and I'm actually like, I can actually skip 15-second forward. So I was, yeah. Anyway,
that's a weird and wonderful look into your world there. So Easter's coming up. I know what egg you're getting. Well, there we go. Okay, awesome.
That should be a question.
Yeah, absolutely. It is funny, like when you think about the ads on podcasts. So again, dependent on which platform you're using, the ad structure can work a little bit differently. But I'm hearing more and more now. Podcasters obviously monetize their podcast, but they're doing the ads.
They're the weird ones. Because you don't realise it's gone to an ad sometimes.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That's
So
it.
why are you suddenly talking about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So
true.
do you know, Diary of a CEO is one of the best podcasts for that. It's like, so the conversation's going on and all of a sudden there's like a little background noise and it's like a natural point where conversation's changing anyway. And he starts talking about his diet or about his nutrition rather. And he talks about Huel, or he suddenly starts talking about wanting to be, conscious about sort of, green stuff, and there's some products that he sort of promotes through his podcast as well. But it's weird because at the point you realize you're in an advert, you're like kicking yourself for not realizing that was an advert. But there's a really interesting one where he's interviewing Jay Shetty. Do you know who Jay Shetty is?
Heard the name, but
yeah. So it's like he wrote a book called Think Like a Monk. So he's very much like a mindset kind of person, but he's just started to do some stuff in the social media world as well. He is a social media, he is an influencer within the sort of business development, personal development and business world, 100%. But anyway, so Stephen Bartlett interviews Jay Shetty, but in this particular episode, rather than one of these Huel ads being cut in, there's obviously been a conversation in the background where Jay Shetty's gone like, what is this stuff? I was like, I've seen it before. And they have a conversation about what Huel is and like what flavors there are, whether or not you like the flavors. But it's a real organic conversation. But like all the mics are set up for them to do the podcast episode. And this is obviously something that's happened the other end of the office, like the other end of the room. So actually the sound on it is like they're off air having the conversation. And it works beautifully as an ad. But when you think about it, it's probably like, it's actually quite low quality because you can't hear that. It's like you're overhearing someone talking the other side of the room about this product. And you're like, oh, what's that about? And like, even the way it's like Stephen Bartlett, it's like, well, there's this flavor and this flavor. And like, yeah, well, just try it. And they're like, I think you'd like it. And it's just such a natural, natural organic conversation.
It sounds like a clever way of doing it.
Thought, how freaking smart is that?
Yeah, like it's almost like you should be able to tell the difference. This is the podcast, this is the ad. Yeah, that's really clever.
Yeah,
I like that.
But it ties into your all of your social media activity, because the content that works the best is the stuff that is just the fly on the wall. It's the stuff that people wouldn't hear or they wouldn't see or they wouldn't notice necessarily. And actually, when you put that into your presence, that's when you get the engagement, that's when you educate and entertain, and you find that people really you will really build loyalty with your audience at that point. So it's quite interesting. Paul's just put in the comments on Facebook, subliminal marketing. Do you know what? It's not subliminal marketing, because like if it was subliminal, it's a bit subliminal to me anyway. It's more like product placement, whereas this is like it's actually in there. It's part of it. But yeah, and Paul said, do these platforms let you know it's an advert? No, on podcast you don't know it's an advert. Like the YouTube example is because you cut to an advert and it's quite I was going to say an ugly cut. I don't. That's not very.
Yeah,
That's not the word
sharp.
to use. It's like it's clumsy.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
agree.
it's like all of a sudden I stop mid sentence and there's Nicole's Malteser ad starts playing. So like it's weird in that sense. But yeah, it is content being placed within content, but it's not subliminal at all. It really isn't. It's like and when it's something that you've listened to a while, like a few episodes of. So like I said, Diary of a CEO, I listen to quite regularly. When that bit starts now, I know what it is. I recognise what it is. But the first few times I was like, damn, I've been caught out. But yeah, there we go. There we go. Cool. All right. So have you got anything else for us news-wise, Nicole? Or was that your big thing this week? I know you're really into like the video and audio stuff. So
Yeah, that was mainly. I've got another one for Meta, but I don't know if Jane might be covering this one. I let Jane know about this is an interesting one, but I feel it's something that probably does need to be done. I'm interested to hear your thoughts anyway, both being parents. So introducing parent control on Instagram. That's what Instagram are going to start doing. So they're going to manage, you can now, as a parent, manage the exposure of what your child sees, which
100% a good thing. 100%
Yeah.
a good thing. And I tell you the other thing as well, like as a parent, so be vigilant. There is so much going on at the minute in terms of accounts being hacked and that sort of stuff. Kim's just put live lunch on and it's stuff. Oh no, it wasn't. Oh, it's Mark. It's bloody Mark. All of a sudden, I could like hear myself from the other side of the room. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. So Instagram, everyone's being hacked at the minute. Okay, well, not everyone.
I've noticed this though.
Yeah, there's hacks all day long. Their accounts being cloned. It's absolutely crazy. So I think as adults, we need to be vigilant. But as kids, like you can't. So there is an annual report that, do you know, I don't think it's the Ofcom Online Nation report. I think it's another report that I look at. I can't remember what it's called now. And one of the things it talks about in there is like how savvy are we in terms of being safe online. And the last couple of years, definitely the trend is that actually our kids are way more educated than we are as adults in terms of like, you know, making sure you've got a decent password and two-factor and all that sort of stuff. So they are more aware of it, but they're not necessarily implementing it. I said that really weird, didn't I? They're not necessarily implementing it. And I think that actually having those parental controls means that you can make sure that they've got some sort of two-factor or multi-factor in terms of their logins, which also is going to help protect them, because if that 12-year-old, 14-year-old suddenly gets a message from their best mate going, I've been doing this stuff with crypto, I'd like to think they're bright enough to know that that's, you know, they're not going to get caught up and pulled into those messages. I think the messaging is so, this has happened recently with someone I know who is under 16, and they sent some messages to me. Whoever had hacked their account sent some messages out, which obviously some of those came to me, and I knew straight away it wasn't them. I knew instantly what had happened, and I messaged the parents and said, look, go check their account. And like completely lost that account. When it was hacked, the email has been changed, the phone number's been changed, so they can't reset it and get it back. Which, okay, I'm going to say it. Like, this kid is not going to have lost a lot. You know what I mean? It's like the probably most of that stuff on that Instagram account in 10 years' time, they're thanking God they can. Do you know?
Very true.
Do you know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
So it's not the be all and end all, but at the same time, I can understand someone a female in secondary school, that being quite devastating.
Yeah.
That they've lost that content. It's like, I'd be devastated if I lost my LinkedIn account right now, because from a business perspective, that has value. And all the relationships and everything else that built up over years. So it's like, actually, so I'm kind of going away from the subject, but I think those parental controls, just from a security perspective, and then obviously protecting what it is they actually see and all that sort of stuff. You've got to know your child.
Definitely.
When I think about Bella, my youngest, she's always been she's always been about 45. So I got it the wrong way around. She's always been about 54. But, so some of her little friends over the years, I've been a bit like, oh, God, you can see them being, you can see how easy it would be for someone to essentially groom them online.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they would just sort of fall into that, not realize what's happening, which is, every parent probably looks at their kid like that. But yeah, it's, I remember my niece when she was, I think she was only about 7 or 8 when she first had access to an Instagram account. And I was like,
Wow.
really?
Wow.
Yeah. I was
That
like,
is so young.
Yeah. I was not comfortable with that at all. But, it's like you got to know your child.
Definitely.
What are your thoughts, Jane? I'm doing all the talking.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I agree. I mean, you do need to know your child. And at the same time, though, it's hard not to make assumptions about your own. Oh, yes, my child would be safe. My child is great at this, that, and the other. But yeah, you can't be like that. You have to check occasionally, and you have to actually make sure that just because you think that they're okay, that they actually are. I mean, my kids get it drummed into them at school all the time. Every month or so, there's some other be safe online thing going on at school. I hope they listen to it. I hope that they take it on board. And we do talk about it and they say, yeah, I'm being safe. But I only hope that they actually are, because it's not that easy to check, every day. So I've just got to hope that they're listening, taking it on board, and that they tell me if anything happened.
Yeah.
But mine are a bit older now, so hopefully they're sensible too.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. So the other thing I like about parental controls is it stops me being the monster. It's like I was always the parent that knew about this stuff. So like other parents would be going, oh. So I'd be following all these kids.
Oh God.
And like reporting back about what they're putting in there. No, I don't think they're wearing enough clothes in their stories. Tell you, like, don't have girls. But yeah, so I was quite often the cool mum until they put something on Instagram that they shouldn't have done, and then I wasn't so popular then. But there we go. Cool. All right, Jane. So come on, let's come to you now. What's been going on with you? What have you got for us to chat about?
Well, work-wise, I am still fighting Facebook every day. Just something I've said on here before, just for people to be aware of, is that because we have Business Manager and Business Suite, everybody's Facebook is different. So, just bear in mind if you're ever trying to help anyone with something on Facebook, that they might have a completely different version to you.
Yeah, you
so
cannot.
That's my bugbear.
You can't talk anyone through Facebook on the phone anymore. It's like, right, let's set up a time to screen share, and then we'll see what you've got and go from there.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's been my fun this week. But news-wise, so something else with Instagram, actually. In the past, only creators and approved people could tag products on their account, but now they're rolling that out to everybody. And you'll also be able to tag products in stories and reels. I'm not sure if you could do that as a creator before or not. I can't actually remember. Again, this is only in the US for now, but it will be rolled out afterwards. And then business owners will get notified if someone tags one of their products, which I thought was a really good idea. And so if they're tagged in a negative product, they actually have the option to remove that tag. which might not be a good thing actually if they've done a really bad service.
Yeah.
So it works both ways, doesn't it, really? But there is more control over, what products are tagged and what they're tagged in. But it will be rolled out to more people to have the ability to tag, which I think is quite a good thing, really.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it opens up for like so many strategies in terms of user-generated content as well, doesn't it?
Definitely,
Just like something within your packaging that regular competitions for people that share the product through their socials. I think it's really powerful when you see a brand sharing something from their audience rather than it just be another one of their posts. So, like I say, definitely opens up just more opportunity on that front.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. And hopefully one day they'll roll out actually putting links in your post too. Proper links to things, but you never know.
Well, we can do links in stories now.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
that's an improvement.
Really
Yeah, definitely.
But on the other hand, though, if they put links in posts, does it just become another Facebook? So
I think this is the thing. It's like I was thinking about this the other day. So it's quite clever. So if you wanted to put something, if you want to post with a clickable link on Instagram, you have to run an ad. And Instagram ads are not expensive to run. So actually, and if you think about all the development they've put in, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. It's like it makes a lot of sense, and it's we don't need to worry about is content going to be downgraded in the algorithm because we've included a link and all that sort of stuff, which I always say we shouldn't be worried about anyway. Just create some good content. But Instagram was intended as a visual place for people, for creatives to get together and share content and look at all this beautiful stuff. So actually, I think not having the links in those posts is really handy. But like I said, it's, from a brand marketing perspective, that sort of top of funnel stuff, if you want to share those links, invest in ads. And like I said, it doesn't cost a lot of money to get that exposure. Just keep your audience really, really tight. If you were going to invest in brand awareness ads on Instagram and you wanted to go UK wide and you're only going to spend £100 a month, then you're a fool, basically. You've not thought that one through. But if we just wanted people in 20 kilometers of here to be seeing our brand, Instagram's a really cheap way of doing that.
Yeah, definitely. So other news, LinkedIn have now rolled out newsletters for pages. So before you could create a newsletter if you were a creator on your personal account, but now they're rolling it out for pages as well. So the idea is that you'll create a newsletter every week or however often you want to do it, and include things that you might have put in Publisher or posts that you've used or whatever, and people can subscribe to the newsletter, and they can also unsubscribe if they want to. And they can get notification by email or just within the app as well that you've put a newsletter there. And apparently they're just really good for creating more engagement and immediate reach on your posts and things like that. So there's a couple of companies in America who've been trialing it and have had really, really good results from doing it. So I think that's quite a good one. But on the other hand, do you need another newsletter? It's like one of those things.
Yeah. So
do you, don't you? Don't know.
Okay. So I've got mixed feelings. LinkedIn is such a noisy place in terms of notifications that I think once you reach if you're active on LinkedIn and you use it for business development and you're doing it well, the notifications just become crazy. And now we've got notifications for, do you want to follow my company page? We've got notifications for, do you want to subscribe to my newsletter and all that. So I think we're just getting more and more and more and more noise all the time. But so as a user, I've got that issue. Okay. Every time I log into LinkedIn, there's another 10, 15 notifications where people want me to subscribe to a newsletter. And a lot of these newsletters are not high value. Okay. So, and a lot of these newsletters are people that I already receive email marketing content from. So do I really want to double up? Now, for some of them, I probably do want to have that on LinkedIn rather than in my emails because of how I value that information. How urgent is it for me to engage with the information on that email, on that newsletter? Well, if it's less of a priority for me to have it in LinkedIn rather than in my emails, actually works for me. So we've got to think about it that way. From a business perspective, so brilliant, they've rolled this out, fantastic, let's all dive on, let's use it, amazing, we've got 50,000 subscribers on our LinkedIn newsletter, hurrah. And then LinkedIn go, I've had enough of that now.
Yeah.
We're going to axe them. We're going to axe them because we want to focus on this instead. Well, actually, now we've lost all those subscribers. So I think if you are going to go down this route, that newsletter needs to be, I always talk about funnels and how everything connects together to move people through. Right? The outcome is we want that first name, last name, email address in our database. So if we're going to use the newsletter feature, then personally, I think we should be designing a newsletter feature in LinkedIn that is sharing maybe a taster with a call to action to get the real deal direct from us. And that's where all the real value is.
Yeah.
So I think it is about like, how are we going to, because I think a lot of people going, I don't need to pay for this bit of software anymore. I can just do it straight in LinkedIn. But you haven't got the data.
Yeah.
So we've got to think. It's about thinking strategically. I think if we were going to do it on LinkedIn, it would probably be something more like here's the latest live lunch, and here's 2 posts that we've put on LinkedIn that we want to make sure everyone's seen. Like that would be a good LinkedIn newsletter for us. Obviously, live lunch is massively valuable. The other things, it's like a lot of people would probably have seen that content anyway, but it's also that call to action of, it's another way of putting some, like our latest print offer in front of someone, maybe that's going to be on there, or what's our next webinar, or then the next event we're appearing at. It's another form of marketing that way. But like I said, in terms of actually getting our news, we'd want them to actually subscribe for the official Green Umbrella communication that drops into their inboxes every Friday.
Yeah,
agreed.
So yeah, mixed feelings. I'm like, it's going to be an annoyance. It's going to be a really good tool. We can use it that way, but we don't want it to be too good because we want to be brilliant over here instead. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I think this is the thing. I look at this stuff and I form immediate opinions and I wait to see what happens. So like, I've still never switched my account over to creator mode, because the bells and whistles you get, I'm like, I could already do LinkedIn Live, so I don't need to make that switch to get access to that. The newsletters, I just think would annoy. I think right now would probably annoy people more so than anything else. Although I did consider doing a LinkedIn newsletter as me purely for the podcast, but I still haven't done it because I still don't. I'm not happy with building the database over there. I want to build the database here. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what is? I think I feel no one likes change. And when social media introduce all these things and they're almost trying to cram so much into one app, it's like you have to get used to it. And then, as you said, you sort of wait on the fence, see what works. And then if it works and it's sort of, taking trend, then you sort of think, I'll give it a go. And then you start to like it and ease up to it. And then you're just accepting the change.
Yeah, there is one person that is using LinkedIn newsletters really well. And it's because they've used it secondary to their main newsletter. So Hung Lee of Recruiting Brain Food fame, his weekly Recruiting Brain Food email was just getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And then all of a sudden he got access to the LinkedIn newsletters when it was sort of, I think he was one of the first people I knew that got access to it. And this is previous to creator mode rolling out, I think. Could be wrong on that, actually, thinking about it. So what he's done now is the key things, the most important things remain within the Recruiting Brain Food newsletter. The stuff that everyone's subscribed to get, that's in there. But the other stuff, the more like peripheral stuff, that is now in his LinkedIn newsletter. And again, it's that call to action is to subscribe to the main one. So
That's
to
a
me,
good way of doing it.
it's like the important stuff's hitting your inbox. The secondary stuff is sitting in LinkedIn for you, and it's there whenever you want it.
I mean, that's a good
idea.
a good way of doing it. Yeah. Because then there's always that sort of link to the main one, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I read the newsletter on a Sunday morning, that's like focus time. I'm like, what's happening in the world of recruitment? If I'm reading the thing on LinkedIn, I know it's because I'm actually, having a distraction, waiting for the kettle to boil. It's like, it's not that it's unimportant. It's like this isn't a priority time task. This is me being nosy rather than actually something more focused.
Yeah.
If he listens to this, I really hope he's not offended. I'll be like, love you, Hank. Cool. Okay, so yeah, anything else news-wise, Jane?
Yep, a couple of little ones. Twitter is rolling out a new keyword search in your direct messages. So you can search, so you pick obviously whatever word you want to search on, and you can either search through people, and it will give you a result of people who've said that word in your messages, not in your normal Twitter feed. Groups, so if it's been in a group chat, you can search on that, or you can just search directly in individual messages. So again, it's just a useful way just to organise yourself, really, especially for brands who do rely on people messaging them, about complaints or good things or whatever. So
absolutely. Did you see they've introduced so when you go to create a tweet now, you open up your camera, you could record a video, do a live. You now got the option of recording a GIF.
I've seen that, but not tried it.
So I was like, oh, this could be interesting. Essentially, it's like a boomerang.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that exciting. I was like, oh, we can do GIFs. But it's just a video. You can't even put text on it.
I was going to ask that.
So you'd have to record it. So when you capture it, it saves to your camera roll. So you need to open that in something to add some text, then go back to Twitter. So I was like, Twitter, you always they're always doing like 25% of the job.
Yeah.
And it's like when they get to like 75% of the job, then it's like 10 years too late. Or they get to like 70% and they just go, yeah, bored of that now, and they axe it. So I'm just like, I mean, someone like is bound to comment watching this, or they'll see this bit and they'll ask me when they see me, like, do people still use Twitter? And it's like, yes, people still use Twitter. Like everyone jumps onto Twitter when like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram go down. People still use Twitter.
Yeah.
Like Google uses Twitter. Google uses Twitter to index, like Kim's just put it in the comments now. Like every tweet is indexed by Google. So Google is using Twitter to help decide who's going where in search and that sort of stuff as well. So yeah. Oh, look, Ellie's put quite an interesting comment there. So she saw something saying that Twitter is the smoking area of socials, all random conversation and 25% effort. I would agree with that. But it's a bit like the kitchen. That's where the best conversations happen, right?
Yeah.
It's like only the really cool people are hanging out there. So like that's.
I don't think I've ever seen you in the kitchen at work, Christina. just saying.
I just like Ellie did put in the comments as well, like Christina waiting for the kettle to boil, unheard of. I made myself a cup of chamomile tea last night, I have you know. I mean, like none of you were there and everyone at home had gone to bed, so I'd got no choice.
Oh dear.
Awesome. So yeah, GIFs on Twitter. There you go. Make your own. Awesome. I've lost my whatever the word is now. I don't know what the word is because I've lost it. Jane, anything else from your side of stuff?
Only a tiny one, and that's that Facebook are adding reactions to Reels. So I think you could like them before, but now you'll be able to obviously like, love, care, all of those. So I think that's quite a good thing.
Yeah, And that's how do we feel about, because that's just coming through as notifications. Obviously, stories a few weeks ago, a couple of months maybe. They like it used to be when you reacted to a story or to a reel, it's like started a DM, but now it's just like someone liked your story, hurrah!
If I'm honest, I don't think it's taken off. I don't know about you guys, but on my Instagram, I don't think I've had one person like, actually, I lie. I've had one person like my story in the whole time it's been out.
Was it your mum?
Yeah, it was.
Do you know I'll tell you what's interesting is I've had more DMs on my stories. So like I think when it was just like, because it was just like, double tap, whatever. So I've had more DM conversations starting that are like meaningful rather than just a DM double tap. So
Yeah.
I'd agree, you're probably getting less of a response from people, but I'm getting less response overall, but more meaningful responses.
Yeah. I've noticed people still like to just send the reactions and then that sparks up a conversation. Then just sort of, because you're sort of going your insights on the story and then it's just like this person liked your story. And I feel people, I don't know, it's a funny one. I guess we'll have to just give it more time and see if it takes off. But at the moment, it's not taken off on my Instagram.
I don't do it very often either. Just occasionally I think, oh yeah, I forgot I can like this.
Yeah, thinking about that. I don't think I've liked anyone's stories
often.
myself. Yeah. I feel like you just almost forget about it. But yeah.
And how we feeling about reels? Obviously, we had the wonderful Susan Rose China in the office this week. Just talking about reels. I mean, we talked about Pinterest for quite a while as well, but because she's a product business, but yeah, we were talking about reels and putting some stuff together there, and that was that was awesome, just having her back in the office again after 2 years. She used to come in and basically every 2 weeks Susan would be in the office with us having a coaching session around social media, so it was fab to have her back in here. But yeah, I think since reels have gone over to Facebook, I am seeing more and more of that content. So I think that was actually a good move, like more reels from brands. It was, Kim's just put it was like the energy and excitement around what we can do with reels and the creativity and that sort of stuff was just, I think that's what raised our energy that day, was just like, yeah, love it.
Yeah. It's the first time I've met Susan. I thought she was brilliant. She just, honestly, she brought so much energy that day. It was amazing. Yeah. And she did well. She made the reel, which is...
same day.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Boom. So are you seeing more reels overall, or like
when I go on Facebook, I actually go on the Reels tab now. I've started going on there, but they're all different for each platform, which I find interesting. It almost caters to the audience for each platform, I find. Or it sort of, I don't know, resonates to what you've been watching. So I guess I'm quite new to looking at it on Facebook. So it's just giving me a random bunch of stuff. Whereas like on Instagram, it's kind of what I've been looking at. Or a lot, Yeah,
but you've taught the algorithm on Instagram what it is you like. What about you, Jane? Are you seeing much of it?
On Facebook, definitely. The only thing I don't like is when you see them in your feed, you don't know whose reel they are. So if they pop up and I think, what the heck is that? And then it's just some random reel from somewhere. Whereas actually it'd be quite handy to see it was a Susan Rose reel or a Green Umbrella reel or something. But then maybe you might not watch it if it was someone you didn't know. So maybe it's clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do sometimes actually sit and watch them. But I don't tend to watch them on Instagram very often, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I don't tune in. Like I watch them when they were so on Instagram. So you create the reel, it can then go into as a post, or you can add it to your story. And I think I only really engage with them through people's stories. I don't like when I'm going through the feed, I'll watch the first bit and then like I very rarely actually click through and watch the whole reel. I've like had enough of that first bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd probably do the same if I'm honest. So
Yeah.
the autoplay bit I might see, but then I never have my sound on either, so that doesn't help. So it's just random videos with no sound.
That's why anyone doing reels, you've got to use that captions feature. Honestly, it's like it makes such a difference. I think it just makes the reel, because people are watching it with the sound off. So there either needs to be a massive amount of movement on the screen, like videos cutting into each other and images and all that sort of stuff to keep people interested, or you need the text. But again, and Eddie's just put in the comments exactly what I'm about to say. It's those first few seconds that are, if you don't get, like, you literally need to pitch the entirety of the video in the first 3 to 5 seconds. Otherwise, no one's ever going to watch the rest of it.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Awesome. Okie dokie. So I'm just looking, what else? Did I have anything that you guys haven't talked about? So newsletters, tick, we've done that. Yeah, we talked about GIFs in Twitter. The other thing, just a final note, really, is that that's not even the article I was thinking it was. That was something else. Loads of stats around like Facebook and like small business use, and 50% of companies are using social media to communicate directly with their customers, and 45% of them are using it to advertise, and 39-ish% sell goods and services. So they're the 3 top reasons people are using social media. But that's not what I thought. That's not what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk
Still
about.
interesting.
It is actually. Do you know what?
Yeah.
What is interesting on that is right at the bottom of there's like 6 things on this list, and the thing that is 6th is, I'd say it's about 14-15% people say that businesses say that they're using social media for hiring employees. So think about the little world we exist in, where we're talking all day, every day about recruitment marketing. That's really interesting. So if you're struggling at the minute to recruit and you're not using your social media channels, you are definitely missing an opportunity, because there's only 15% of your competitors that are using it, potentially. So
I expected that number to be higher.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah,
Absolutely crazy.
that is.
Cool. So the thing I was going to talk about very, very briefly, so paid ads on social media. So if you want to advertise on Twitter, don't bother, because it's like, unless you've got crazy money to invest, which small businesses don't, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Okay, give the money to charity, do something good with it, treat yourself, go to the spa, have a holiday. Paid ads on Facebook and Instagram, once you know what you're doing, that's relatively straightforward. And although Facebook throws its toys out the pram every now and then because of some of the AI and like how their ads are managed and that kind of stuff, it's like, it is, we complain about it, but I'd say, a good 80-90% of the time it is without issue. Then you've got LinkedIn ads, okay, campaign manager. And this has always been like, they've always been more expensive than anywhere else. But that's partly because we can target on job titles, and most people on LinkedIn have their job titles on the platform. It gives us some specificity. That's a really hard word for me to say. I'm proud of myself for saying it right now. First time, no issues. We'll try again. Specificity. I'm just going to keep saying it now. But because we're being more specific, of course, it's going to cost us more. We're automatically filtering people to a point. Just be the strength of those job titles filters people to a point where they might still be cold, but they're still very, they're not top of funnel broad audience. So it is more expensive, which has always put people off. Okay. And then even the people that went, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go, the interface has always been tricky, because although they've tried to mimic how Facebook ads are laid out in terms of building your ad, it's slightly different language, and always feels like there's an extra step that doesn't need to be there. So they have renamed some bits and pieces to try and simplify that process. So I think I'm not suggesting people dive in right now, but I think that as we move forward, tracking everything is getting trickier and trickier in terms of like understanding what ad worked, what didn't, retargeting, that sort of stuff. It's like we can't do what we were doing 4 years ago. We just don't have that data available to us anymore. So I think LinkedIn ads might be about to come into its own, although it will always be more expensive than what we're used to on Facebook and Instagram because of the specificity. I am so like tomorrow's blog, if that hasn't got specificity in the title.
You've perfected the word.
I'm amazed that words like that I genuinely can't say. I have to really focus and it's just rolling off the tongue. So but yeah, so like I said, LinkedIn ads, I think we might just see a real push, especially like B2B, obviously, we might see a real push that way. So just watch out for that. The other thing, like people just renaming stuff, shuffling things around. Let's make it simpler. Facebook, shuffle things around, rename stuff just to make it more complicated all the time.
Absolutely.
So I've seen an article as well that this isn't going to affect a lot of us, a lot of people watching this, but if you are using the sort of automated ad stuff that exists within Facebook, they've renamed some of the audiences to, add a bit of clarity so that we understand what that audience actually is, right? It makes no frigging sense. I can't even remember what the words are. It made so little sense. I just read it and I was like, what does that even mean? So yeah, like I said, sometimes when it comes to social media, things do need simplifying, making more accessible. And I do think that's what LinkedIn has tried to do with this recent sort of change to Campaign Manager. But yeah, also sometimes if it ain't broke, Facebook. But there you go. Awesome. Right, ladies, do we have anything else for this week or shall we draw it all to a close?
I don't have anything else.
No, I don't.
We're all good. We're all good.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let's wrap it up there. Hopefully for anyone that's joined us live today, we've brought a bit of entertainment, a little bit of education, maybe. Eddie's just like, is Eddie trying to say something? She's just put in the comments, it's National Waffle Day tomorrow. Ellie, are you trying to say something? I don't know if I should be offended. But yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, it's hopefully we've brought something of interest, engaged, entertained, all educated, all that sort of stuff. We'll be here live again next Thursday. Don't know if it'll be 3 of us. Don't know if Mark's joining. Dean might be on. Might even actually get Kim on here one of these weeks. Let's see if we can apply a bit of pressure. But that's it for us.
Yeah.
Have an amazing week, everyone. Enjoy the sunshine whilst it's still here. And we'll see you all next week, Thursday at 12 for the next live lunch. Bye for now.
Bye.